Welcome to the Better Together Here podcast with your hosts Devin
and Ashley,
helping you make the most of your time in New York City. Hey everyone, and welcome to today's episode of the Better Together Here podcast. My name is Devin.
And my name is Ashley.
In today's episode, we are going to give you a quick guide to what to do on an afternoon on the Upper East Side. Most people know about the Met. They want to go to the Met. It is arguably New York City's most famous museum, possibly one of the best. But what do you do before and after when you found yourself on the Upper East Side? We're going to answer that question for you. So let's get right into it. There are a lot of stereotypes and puns about the Upper East Side, but let's let one of our favorite shows, Broad City, tee that up for us.
There's my phone. I knew it was stolen. Okay, it's in Harlem.
Great, let's go track it down.
No, wait. It's moving south. It's in the Upper East Side. Dude, I don't want to go there. Must we?
My son-in-law is such a disgrace. He went to Cornell.
I'm fine with a tsunami, but not in St. Bart's. Anywhere else is fine.
It's the 10th horse that died this year. That's 10 horses I've had to replace.
Why does anybody come up here? It is a horrible, vapid wasteland.
Excuse me, where's the Met?
Oh, right down here and you make a right.
Yeah, you can't miss it.
Thank you.
The main stereotype of the Upper East Side is that it is a very rich, pretentious area, which has a lot of truth.
It definitely has a lot of truth. It's definitely one of the more expensive places to live in the city, and it's probably like the most like prim and proper and like fanciest place to live in Manhattan.
And a lot of the people who are on the Upper East Side they come from like generational wealth and have been in that experience and world their entire life. If you've seen the show Succession, the dad, the main character dad, who's trying to figure out who's going to take over for him when he passes away, his big giant apartment is on the Upper East Side on Fifth Avenue, right across from the Met, actually. So that kind of gives you a glimpse into what the Upper East Side can be like.
I think it's a house, which really sets the stage for, like, the Upper East Side has houses, not just apartments, whereas most of New York does not have actual houses.
True. And in that home has been on the market recently, and it was in like the hundreds of millions of dollars.
Yeah.
Very expensive.
Very expensive real estate. A lot of old money up there. But very beautiful place to go and walk around. Also, the Upper East Side is the setting for where Gossip Girl is filmed. If you're a Gossip Girl fan, everyone there lives on the Upper East Side. They go to school on the Upper East Side. Heavy Upper East Side influences all throughout that show.
And are they pretentious?
Yes.
Exactly. Okay. The Upper East Side, despite what we're saying, we do love going here from time to time. It has some amazing spots, some great pockets within the neighborhood that are worth visiting. So first stop, before you go to the Met, have an early lunch at Don Filippo. Don Filippo is a pizza spot that we accidentally stumbled upon after going to the Met. I was getting very hangry. This spot had good reviews. We went in, amazing. Totally unassuming as well. Like when you walk in, it kind of looks like you're stepping into like 1994.
Yeah, I was about to say the decor is very dated. Like you would not expect to get like a fantastic slice or whole pizza here. But don't judge it by the looks. Fantastic pizza. Whenever we go, we usually share like a whole cheese pie. All of their pizzas that we've had there are great. I don't think we've done by the slice.
But they do offer it. If you're by
offer
yourself
by the
or you don't
slice.
want a ton of food, if you just want a quick bite, they do offer by the slice.
But honestly, I recommend just doing the whole pie. If you're with like 2 to 4 people, just do the whole pie.
And don't skip the garlic knots. They are phenomenal. Once you've had a nice lunch to fill your belly up before going to the museum, you want to grab a coffee at 787. There's nothing worse than getting to a museum. We've talked about this before. Than getting to a museum and either being hungry or tired. So that's why you eat before, and that's why you grab a coffee or a nice tea before. 787 coffee, highly rated, very close to Don Filippo, and both of these are close to the Met.
787 has a fantastic cappuccino, and their drip coffee is also very good. So highly recommend this place. Get some caffeine before you go walk around the Met for a couple hours.
Once you're ready, head on to the Met. Know that there is often a line, especially on weekends. So if you're getting there, I have seen that in the early mornings when it first opens, it's the most crowded to get in. So this kind of itinerary we're giving you is honestly probably better, because then you're going to get there around like 1-ish, 1 in the afternoon. There's probably going to be a shorter line to get into the museum. It might be a little bit busier once you're in there, but like most people try to get there right when it opens, or, you know, they get there early and they want to get there before lunch. I recommend doing it after lunch.
I will say, if you get there and there is a big line, don't be discouraged, because I don't think that you're actually going to be waiting in line for that long. I feel like the maximum time you'd be waiting to get into the Met would be like maybe a half hour. That's probably on the high end of things, but they do this all the time and they move people through pretty quickly. So don't get discouraged if you get there and you see a huge line.
When you buy your ticket, that gets you access to pretty much everything in the museum. There are some maybe special exhibitions or tours or things like that that are not included, but you are getting a ticket to explore this vast museum. Pro tip, if you know someone or you wish someone who lives in New York or New Jersey and they have an ID with their address in one of those two places, they can do pay as you wish, which basically means you can pay $1 per person and get in essentially for free to the Met. So that's just a little tip if that works out for you. The Met itself, it is a massive, massive museum. I believe it covers, 6 blocks? 5 or 6 blocks. I mean, it is huge, and it covers such a wide variety of art and styles and time periods and regions of the world. That's actually how it's generally set up.
4 blocks.
4 blocks. Okay, but still, that is a huge amount of space, especially in New York City. 4 blocks is massive.
So the Met is in between 5th Avenue and Central Park. So it is partially in Central Park, and then the front of it butts up against 5th Avenue. So a very iconic place on the Upper East Side to visit.
And the way that the Met is generally laid out is by geographic region. And then often within that, it's by like type of art. And again, there is sections with modern art. There are statues. There are historical weapons and swords and knight's armor. And there's an instruments area with all kinds of funky instruments from all across civilizations across the world.
You have Greek and Roman art. You have Impressionist art. You have Renaissance art.
Everything.
Is Renaissance art a thing?
Probably. We're not like super arty people, but we go to museums.
Truly, anything you want to see is probably going to be at the Met. And to this day, like Devin and I live in New York City. We go to the Met quite frequently. There are times where we're walking through the Met and we take a turn and we're like, we've never been through this area. You could go to the Met pretty much every day for, I feel like, a couple weeks, and you would see different things every time.
Yeah,
it's huge.
It's a huge place to cover. So again, plan beforehand if you can, and if you know that there are specific pieces of art that you would like to see, like Van Gogh's self-portrait, figure out where that is so that you know exactly where to go. Ask the staff inside. One that I really like is I believe it's called the Egyptian wing. It's kind of in the back part of the museum that butts up against Central Park, and there is a massive, not just recreation, but an actual physical like tomb, not a pyramid, but like an Egyptian tomb enclosement that has been there, that was from, thousands and thousands of years ago. There's this fake kind of moat that goes around it, and it's got this awesome, like the full wall is glass so that you can see into Central Park, which is just, I don't know, something about that is like very iconic, especially if it's like rainy or snowy and you kind of get that view of the park with this historical piece of the Middle Eastern landscape plopped into Central Park. It's just, or into the Met in New York City. It's iconic.
The Egyptian wing also has mummies and a bunch of really, really cool Egyptian jewelry. So highly recommend that area.
Know as well that inside the Met, most of the pieces will have like a number associated with them, and I believe it's through the Bloomberg Connects app. You can punch in the number and find more in-depth information. Some of them have audio recordings of historians and art experts talking about the pieces. So there's so much to do and explore in the Met. You could be in there for 30 minutes. You could be in there for the entire day, so plan accordingly. We recommend going to the gift store. Even if you don't buy anything, there are some really cool pieces. Most of them are pieces of art throughout the Met that are then planted onto shirts or tea towels or notebooks or other gifts and trinkets that'll help you have a memory of your experience at the Met.
Really great spot to look for souvenirs for people at home.
Yes, that are much better than just an I Heart NY shirt. All right, and that leads us to this episode's New York know-how. If you are heading out of the Met and you're trying to go to the next activity that we're going to talk about, and you don't know exactly where to go, one of the best pieces of advice that we can give you when you are feeling lost and needing directions is to ask someone who is walking a dog. The reason is that if they're walking a dog, odds are, number one, that they are from New York City, and number two, they are very familiar with the area that you are currently in. If they're walking their dog there, they probably live there. They know all the ins and outs. They know the streets. They know the places. They know the spots in Central Park, for example. So when in doubt, ask someone with a dog.
Yeah, the amount of times that somebody has come up to me in Central Park and asked me like where Bethesda Terrace is or where the mall is. Honestly, I feel like a little bit of like pride being able to know exactly where to tell them. But we take our dogs to the park every single morning, and I know the bottom third of Central Park like the back of my hand. I know every sidewalk, I know every direction and place to go. So again, if you need directions pretty much anywhere in New York City, go ask somebody with a dog.
And that is this episode's New York know-how. Ask someone with a dog. Okay, back to an afternoon on the Upper East Side. All right, when you're done with the Met, depending on what your energy levels are like, an optional second activity that is close to the Met, and if you aren't planning on devoting a whole lot of time to Central Park, I highly recommend you do this, and that would be to pop into the park from the Met and go and check out two spots that are very, very close. Number one is the obelisk. The obelisk is a giant tower shape pyramid looking thing. I don't know what
Kind of looks like the Washington Monument.
Yes.
Whatever that is called.
I mean, I think like obelisk is the name of the shape, right? But they just call it that. I don't know for sure. But the obelisk, there's a lot of cool history that goes along with the obelisk, one of which is that some of the related things are also in the Met that relate to this specific obelisk, and there is a twin obelisk in London, a twin to the one that is in Central Park. So go check that out.
They're both from Egypt, right?
Yeah. They were both, I believe, gifts from the government of Egypt, and one went to London, one went to New York City.
Fun fact, there's a time capsule buried underneath the obelisk.
What's in it? Do we know? Or is it a secret?
I think we looked it up one time.
Oh, yeah.
There's like a Bible in there.
That's all? Just
one Bible. There's a Bible.
I think it was like pieces of, that's what
pieces of like the time.
Yeah. I guess is what a time capsule is. But
there were other things besides a Bible, but that's the only thing I can remember.
Once you're done looking and thinking about what might be in that time capsule underneath the obelisk, you can also go to Belvedere Castle, which is near the Great Lawn. I will say this total in time with walking and exploring would probably add another 45 minutes to an hour to this activity, but Belvedere Castle is a beautiful part in Central Park. Again, you've got the Great Lawn right there, which has been sites to some really iconic and famous demonstrations as well as concerts, beautiful grassy area. There's ball fields there, but then Belvedere Castle is one of the highest parts in the park, and it is what it sounds like. It is a beautiful castle structure. You can go up, not all the way into like the top of the castle, but you can go to where the base of the castle is, which gives you a nice expansive view of the Upper East Side, of the Great Lawn. You've got the Ramble behind you. So two spots in Central Park that are worth exploring and are very close to the Met, so you can kind of piggyback it as part of this activity. After you've explored the Met and hopefully a little bit of Central Park, you may want to take a rest, get off your feet for a little bit, and the best way to do that is get some post-museum drinks at the Raven Pub. It's a bit of a walk from Central Park, but once you get there, hopefully you can catch their happy hour. This is a classic Irish pub, and their happy hour goes until 7 p.m. every day, I believe. I think it's including the weekends, and on that until 7 p.m. happy hour, you can get $7 beers, wine, and well drinks. I've loved this pub every time I've gone. They have a surprisingly robust food menu with options that are actually really good. Sometimes you go and get pub food and it's just something that was reheated and is kind of mediocre. They have good food, worth getting. They also have plenty of beers on draft. and live music throughout a lot of the week. You'll just have to check on their Instagram or whatever if there is live music that night. But friendly staff, TV's on to watch sports, a good happy hour, plenty of seating. You can't really ask for more than that.
Is this the place where there was a singer and she was asking for a request and you requested Pink Pony Club?
Yeah, and this was right as Chaperone was kind of blowing up, but I don't feel like she had quite entered like the circle of the sports pub world. And yeah, she was playing guitar, and her first request, I went up and requested Pink Pony Club, and she laughed and she like kind of couldn't believe it. And
because it's like a bar full of men watching like basketball or something, right?
Yeah, and then we went and checked on her Instagram later, and she had, posted a picture of her playing guitar at the bar and like mentioned Chaperone on Instagram and said, first request of the night was Pink Pony Club. It's finally infiltrated the boys sports scene. So I just thought that was a hilarious moment. So the Raven Pub, definitely head there after the museum. And that leads us to this episode's You'll Have to Check It Out segment.
The next stop is
Sushi Gamma. Sushi Gamma is a fantastic option for sushi on the Upper East Side. They have delicious food, delicious drinks, quick service, and especially fair prices if you can go during their happy hour. Their happy hour is a little bit funky in that they have a happy hour for food from 12 to 6, and then a happy hour for drinks from 3 to 7. So ideally, you're there at 4 o'clock. Catch them both. Phenomenal spot.
This place has fantastic sushi, always very fresh. And again, like Devin said, if you happen to get there for their happy hour and get like a happy hour drink and a few happy hour rolls, highly recommend. Just good, classic, no frills, solid sushi spot.
And I want to say that most of the rolls are like a good $2 to $6 off during their happy hour, depending on the roll. So you're getting quite a great deal. That is this episode's You'll Have to Check It Out segment, Sushi Gamma.
stand clear of the closing doors, please.
All right, and now back to Upper East Side itinerary. We said it was an afternoon. It might be turning into a full day, which is fine because the Upper East Side has some great spots. We will say, too, that typically when you go further east and when you get over to like 2nd Avenue of the Upper East Side, you get a little bit younger crowd, a little bit more lively bar scene than whereas like 5th Avenue itself is mostly just residential, kind of high-end, expensive homes. So the more you go east on the Upper East Side, the less kind of stereotypically pretentious it can become. Our favorite spot for dinner on the Upper East Side is Up Thai.
This is our favorite Thai restaurant that we've had in New York City, and it earns that designation. Everything that we've had there has been absolutely top-notch. Some of our favorites are the vegetable pad thai. Sometimes I feel like when you get like a vegetable or like a vegetarian pad thai, you get like little strings of carrot or maybe pea in there, and then that's kind of it. This vegetable pad thai, you have like big, thick, very well cooked and seasoned pieces of like hearty vegetables included. So that's one of our go-tos. We also really love the beef short rib Penang curry. That is awesome. And we usually dabble in one or two of their specials that they have like on rotation.
Yeah, we had like wasn't braised, some type of crispy duck curry or crispy. It was amazing.
That was so good.
If there's anything duck on the specials menu, you should get it.
We also really love their cocktails. Some of our favorites are the M&M Magical Spicy Margarita and the Lychee Teeny.
Does that have M&Ms in it?
It doesn't have M&Ms in it. I think it's called Magical because it has like the pea blossom in it, so it makes it kind of blue.
So like
naturally
the
blue.
M&M is like magic and
magical
margarita.
Magical margarita.
Got
yes. It. And who doesn't love a lychee martini? The lychee teeny here is very good. And I will say they have very well done cocktails for a reasonable price. I believe that their cocktails are like $15 per cocktail, which in New York is very fair for this quality of cocktail. I would say it's not unreasonable to go to like a fancy cocktail bar and have this exact same type of cocktail and pay like $22 or $24 per cocktail. I'm not saying that we do that a lot or recommend spending that much money on a cocktail. I'm just saying these cocktails are better than what they're charging.
Agreed. We've also loved that at Up Thai, you can almost always get right in. They have a lot of seating Obviously, call ahead and try and get a reservation if you can, but they have a lot of seating. They move tables pretty quickly, and the staff is very, very friendly. We're going to take a quick break to mention our free transportation guide. If you are coming to New York City for the first time or the 10th time and you need a refresher on how to get around the Big Apple, this is the answer. It is 100% free, and it covers everything from navigating the subway, getting a taxi, getting to and from the airports, biking around the city, and all the things that are important to make sure you maximize your time in New York City. So go to bettertogetherhere.com and click the button that says free navigation guide to sign up. To round out your evening, after you go to Uptai, if you want a nice dessert, we recommend going to Anita La Mama del Gelato, which is a gelato spot. There will usually be a line, especially in the summer, so plan on that, but it is phenomenal gelato.
Don't skip the waffle cone. The waffle cones come out like warm and fresh, and when you walk in, it smells like fresh waffle cones.
Love this spot.
Really, really fantastic gelato. And like very interesting flavors. Like they change the flavors frequently. Obviously, you're going to have your staples, but they have a lot of like very interesting and unique flavors as well.
So we just lined out a full evening, afternoon, day on the Upper East Side for you. Again, make sure you get a bite before you go to the museum and some coffee after you're done at the Met. Go explore Central Park a little bit. Grab a drink, grab some dinner, grab a dessert. There is so much to see and do on the Upper East Side. If in doubt, or if some of the spots you don't maybe like that type of cuisine that we recommended, look around 2nd Avenue. That's probably the best spot for different like quality restaurants and bars. But this gave you a good insight into what to do on the Upper East Side. If you have not already, please sign up for our newsletter. We've changed the format in the last month or so where it's a little bit more in depth and we're kind of giving you a lot of different recommendations, and we talk about events that are upcoming that week. We talk about things in the news. We talk about historical events that will help you win some obscure trivia contest eventually in your life. So make sure you are signed up for our newsletter. Just go to bettertogetherhere.com. There's a big button in the menu that says newsletter. Leave us a review, leave us a rating. Follow us, share it. All that stuff is so, so helpful for us. And then other than that, we'll catch you on the next episode.
This is the last stop on this train. Everyone, please leave the train. Thank you for riding with us.